Friday the 13th, April 2029, an asteroid large enough to fill the Rose Bowl as though it were an egg cup will fly so close to Earth that it will dip below the altitude of our communication satellites. We did not name this asteroid Bambi. Instead, we named it Apophis, after the Egyptian god of darkness and death, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Good morning, or actually good afternoon. Whew, it's late. Okay, I'll start off by showing you this.
April 13th, 2029, this asteroid named Apophis, named for the Egyptian god of death and darkness. Named, of course, only after we calculated its trajectory to intersect Earth. If it were not going to hit Earth, we could have named it like Bambi or Tiffany, something non-threatening, right? Freddy, something that it's not hurting anybody. Name that one Apophis. So we know for certain that Apophis on Friday the 13th, April 2029, it's the size of the Rose Bowl. It'll get close enough to Earth that it will dip below Earth's communication satellites. It'll be the biggest, closest thing ever to come known to come near Earth. The communication satellites are at geosynchronous orbit. It's about 23,000 miles up. This will come in at 18,000 miles. It'll be visible from northern Europe. The Geek Set has already rented the hotel rooms there, so you're out of luck, because they did the math and they knew when and where it was going to happen.
All right, so that's that, and then 2102.
At 300 miles, half of the keyhole. So I suggest that NASA go ahead and do this just as an exercise. Even though it's only a several in a million chance of it hitting, I want to know that we have the power to deflect asteroids so that we do not suffer the same fate as our reptilian ancestors 65 million years ago, who did not have engineers among them, so that as they're standing there.
All right, so basically what I want to report on, this is from Jet Propulsion Laboratory itself, and you're going to see it if you just go ahead and Google. This was 3 days ago, kind of old news. NASA, FEMA, international partners plan asteroid impact exercise. This isn't quite new. They've been doing this for quite a while. In the description box, you can go ahead and see a couple of links that goes to tracking of near-Earth objects. The federal government releases National Near-Earth Object Preparedness Plan, and of course the actual preparedness plan is here. If you go to whitehouse.gov, this is back in June of 2018. And you can read through all of that. We may go in depth to see what they're doing, but basically, it seems as though, and a lot of calculations. I think remember when that person was talking about the quantum computers and the artificial intelligence, that AI won't really get fully going until around 2030. That would be the latest plan. So it seems to be around 2029, 2030. There's something big planning in the works right now. They've been doing a lot of exercises, not just now, but in the past. Here's the hypothetical impact scenarios. They do not describe real world events and all the ones that they've been doing. So all these exercises from FEMA back in 2013, 14, and 16, and PDC, which is the Planetary Defense Council, Defense Coordination, sorry. 2015, 2017, 2019, 2000C, which is a comet scenario. Now, the good thing about this is whether you're a conspiracy theorist or you're a flat earther, this is interesting because we've got our new wizards. We've got our new priests. Remember when the Mayans or the Aztecs, they would say, hey, The god's gonna get angry. He's gonna cover the sun, and then unless you give your power to me, I'm gonna not ask whatever the god to bring the sun back, because everyone thinks if the sun is gone, then they're gonna die because everything will be too cold and whatnot. But the thing is, they were just good at mathematics and just knew the heavenly bodies were gonna move around in the sky. I knew when the eclipses, solar eclipses, lunar eclipses were going to occur. So they got a lot of people who believe in them. And this is basically new priests in science. It's all made up. What they're saying is going to happen isn't going to happen, but they've timed everything just right. Or they're going to make sure the timing is right, and they're going to have all these exercises to prepare for it. But what's going to happen is it's going to be a big failure. That there's going to be a lot of death and destruction. They're going to cause it. They're going to say it's an asteroid. Aliens will come. AI will propagate, whatever. But it seems like 2029, 2030 is a big year. And of course, is a coincidence that it's going to be close by on Friday the 13th in 2029. That's very peculiar number, right? But they've got that down exactly. So the fear propagates more, than the Friday the 13th type of number that's been instilled. All right, so let's go ahead and read this, and we can talk about it a little bit. I won't go into in-depth talk about it because, well, it's the weekend. My kids are still up for a little while, so I'm going to go ahead and hang out with them. They just got done with their nap, so they came down while I was preparing. And again, preparing all this stuff takes about close to an hour. All right, so the Manakaugan impact crater in Quebec, Canada, is one of many reminders that asteroids have impacted Earth. Although large impacts are rare, it's important to be prepared. That's why NASA and other U.S. agencies and international partners gather periodically to simulate impact scenarios and discuss the best course of action for disaster mitigation. Credit International Space Station. Now, what I'm curious on is, who are these international partners? I don't seem to name them. Maybe we'll see it later. While headlines routinely report on close shaves, near misses when near Earth objects and EOs such as asteroids or comets pass relatively close to Earth, the real work for preparing for the possibility of an NEO impact with Earth goes on mostly out of the public eye. Yeah, because there isn't any. For more than 20 years, NASA and its international partners, and who are the international partners, have been scanning the skies for NEOs, which are asteroids and comets that orbit the sun and come within 30 million miles, 50 million kilometers of Earth's orbit. Oh, international groups, they're going to say it. Such as NASA's Planetary Defense Coordination Office, PDCO, the European Space Agency's Space Situational Awareness, NEO segment, and the International Asteroid Warning Network, have made better communication of the hazards posed by NEOs a top priority. In the spirit of better communication, next week at the 2019 Planetary Defense Conference, NASA's PDCO and other U.S. agencies and space science institutions, along with international partners, will participate in a tabletop exercise that will play out a realistic but fictional scenario for an asteroid on an impact trajectory with Earth. A tabletop. Oh, and also, there's always been a lot of stories with the person who helped write 2001 Space Odyssey. I forget his name. He's an author. He also predicted, not predicted, but had stories of asteroid coming. One of the books, it was co-written by someone else, but he named it Wormwood. Anyways, a tabletop exercise of a simulated emergency commonly used in disaster management planning to help involve players of important aspects of a possible disaster and identify issues for accomplishing a successful response. In next week's exercise, attendees at the conference will play out a fictional NEO impact scenario developed by the NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory's Center for NEO Studies. And here we go. Oh, I've already gotten that up. And so it goes through the details here. I like how it's all just simple diagrams. I guess that's what they do with their time and money. And again, there's never going to be any solution to it because the solution is not to be resolved. I guess they can always go it. That's always their backup plan. Like, hey, give us more money and all this other stuff, and we'll say that there's a comet hitting us, and we're going to go ahead and with our it's almost like a way to keep your job, right? They've got billions of dollars of payment. It's a pretty easy job, and then all of a sudden they're gonna say, "Okay, we had enough of you, NASA, and everyone else. You guys aren't doing anything. I mean, no one's going out colonizing any other planetary body out in the solar system." And they go, "Oh, whoa, you guys." There's a asteroid. It's pretty much 100% gonna hit, or actually 99.9 possibility that's gonna hit Earth. You guys need us, and they go, "Oh, okay. So we'll go ahead and keep you guys around until then. And if you don't save us, then well, we're all dead anyways." And then they're gonna save us, and they're gonna be like, "Okay, so you guys need us around forever." All right. So, and these guys can't even get past low Earth orbit, even though they've supposedly done so over 50 years ago. Okay, these exercises have really helped us in the planetary defense community to understand what our colleagues on the disaster management side need to know, said Lindley Johnson, NASA's planetary defense officer. This exercise will help us develop more effective communications with each other and with our governments. This type of exercise is also specifically identified as part of the National Near-Earth Object Preparedness Strategy and Action Plan developed by over a 2-year period and published by the White House in June 2018. These exercises are not tightly scripted. The point is to investigate how NEO observers, space agency officials, emergency managers, decision makers, and citizens might respond to an actual impact prediction and evolving information. Next week's exercise events will occur over the 5 days of the conference, with exercise leaders briefing participants on the status of the scenario at the end of each day and soliciting response ideas and feedback based on the latest fictional data. All of this is fictional data. The scenario begins with the fictional premise that on March 26, astronomers discovered a NEO they considered potentially hazardous to Earth. After a few months of tracking, observers predicted that this NEO, dubbed 2019 PDC, poses a 1 in 100 chance of impact with Earth in 2027. That's interesting because 2029 they know that there's going to be Apophis coming, right? In real life, the international community has decided that a 1 in 100 chance of impact is the threshold for action. Participants in this exercise will discuss potential preparedness for asteroid reconnaissance and deflection missions and planning for mitigation of potential impact's effects. NASA has participated in 6 NEO impact exercises so far, 3 at planetary defense conferences 2013, 2015, 2017, and 3 jointly with the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. The 3 NASA FEMA exercises included representatives of several other federal agencies, including the Department of Defense and State. Each exercise builds on lessons learned in the previous exercise. It'd be interesting what those results and exercises were. What NASA has learned from working with FEMA is that the emergency management officials are not focused on the scientific details about the asteroid. What emergency managers want to know is when, where, and how an asteroid would impact, type and extent of damage that could occur, said Leviticus. Isn't that funny? Leviticus Lewis of the Response Operations Division for FEMA. But the scientific details that would determine these things, so NASA-funded researchers continue to develop capabilities for determining more exact possible impact locations and effects based on what could be observed by an asteroid's position, orbital motion, and characteristics to be ready to produce the most accurate predictions possible in the event an actual impact threat were discovered. NASA and FEMA will continue to conduct periodic exercises with the continually widening community of the U.S. government agencies and international partners, said Johnson. They are a great way for us to learn how to work together and meet each other's needs and the objectives laid out in the White House NEO Preparedness Action Plan. What this kind of reminds me of is, as far as what it feels like, not necessarily, it's just speculation at this point, that if Project Bluebeam doesn't occur with alien invasions, next best thing would be a asteroid coming to knock out the Earth, and thus more control given to the fear of everybody, what's going on, and more control to the controllers of the masses. And again, they don't really tell you exactly all the international partners, just a couple international groups, not necessarily international partners. And these are the animations. Of course, they never seem to show all the asteroids within a video, even though you've got so many telescopes and Hubble telescopes. You can find a black star how many quadrillion miles away, and yet we're still stuck with animations. Okay, so I thought that was it. Just something to report on. These exercises in coordination with FEMA and National Defense, everything, NSA, whatever, they're all going to be interrelated. It's going to be a very big coordinated plan. They're going to probably say, okay, we need to get it's going to have militarized action. You're going to have what do you call it? Martial law. So a lot of these things, and then they're going to probably say, oh, we're also going to probably have NATO come on over. What's interesting is that no other country is really preparing in this fashion, just the United States. So I would say, if I would hazard a guess, the guess would be that the asteroid in 2029 will impact the United States, nowhere else. So that's my thought on that. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you later.